Hey friends, Mike Adams here with Navajo Generating Station Remembered. This video is a conversation that I was fortunate to have with Fred Larson. Fred is a former employee of NGS and a retiree of Salt River Project. I've known Fred since the mid-1970s. And Fred was the one who opened the Unit 2 generator breakers to bring Unit 2 offline in November of 2019. Unit 2 was the last unit at NGS to come offline. And I asked what that was like. I asked him what the atmosphere was in the Unit 2 control room at that particular moment and on that day, and some of the thoughts that were going through his mind when he opened those generator breakers. I also got a few of his thoughts in general on the shutdown of Navajo Generating Station. I'd like to take this opportunity to remind you, too, that I've launched a brand new website called Navajo Generating Station Remembered. There's a website and there's a YouTube channel by the same name. I'll have the links to both in the description of this video, but the address for that new site is navajogeneratingstation.org, and you'll find a lot of construction images, some demolition images and videos, and these interviews will all be there as well. But for now, grab your favorite beverage, get comfortable, push play, and watch this conversation between Fred and I. Hey, Fred, how's it going?
It's good. How are you doing, Mike?
I'm doing good, man. It's good to see you again after all these years. It's been a long time.
It has been.
It's really nice to reconnect with some of, the ex-employees up there at NGS and, some friends that I haven't seen in so many years. And part of the reason that I like doing these interviews is for that reason, just to reconnect again. Outside of SRP, I know you and I talked a few times when I was in PDO. Seems like we talked a couple times when we were both at work, but, it's a little different setting. So it's good to have some time with you, some FaceTime with you. So I was wondering, I was just thinking, just as we start here, could you just kind of introduce yourself to everybody and, somebody out there that doesn't know you and just tell us a little bit about your pedigree and who Fred Larson is?
Okay. Yeah, well, my name is Fred Larson, and I did work at the Navajo Generating Station. I started out there in 1978 as an operator trainee, and I found it to be an interesting job. I didn't know it was going to be last as long as it did. I thought it was more of a temporary job at the time. I was eventually going to go back to school. But I did start out there as a trainee and kind of worked my way up. Progression back then was pretty rapid. So I did move up, and the money was decent, good money, and made it into the control room eventually. And eventually after that, I actually got into supervision. So, I was out there a total of 41 years, and it didn't seem like 41 years. Time went by faster than I thought it would. I guess that's just life.
Yeah, that is.
So,
that's a fact. That is life. So you went up through shift supervisor. Is that what you were when you retired?
That is correct. Yeah. I made shift supervisor position. Yeah.
All right.
And I wasn't in that position the last 8 years of my career out there.
So give us some of the high points of your time there. Some of the really good memories that stand out to you.
Well, it's cliche, but the people that I worked with really had an impact on my life. Lots of good people, and I enjoyed the work itself, and also I of course enjoyed the people. There were some really great times, and then there was some times when you wish you were somewhere else.
True.
But overall, from day to day, work was just interesting. There was always something new coming up. Problems to solve, always something to do. I mean, especially if you wanted to keep busy, there was always something you could do to keep busy. We had some really rough times. I went through 3 total plant blackouts. That's where the plant, all 3 units trip offline, and you have no lights, no power coming in, and you have to, from ground zero, kind of start restoring things to bring the plant up to at least get the lights on and get some power restored so you can start getting your equipment back. And those were some of the most hectic times I'd had out there. I'm just going through those experiences where it almost seemed like just total chaos. but eventually we made it through and got things put back together. So.
Absolutely. I went through 2 of those 3-unit trips while I was there. The first one I was outside water treatment, so it wasn't too bad, but I was, out in the truck and able to scoot around and get to the cooling towers and do what I needed to do. And the second time I was in the basement as an aux operator. That's what they called them back then, aux operator. So that was pretty busy. That was pretty hectic. And that's really a weird experience when all 3 units went down. That was really something. The same thing happened. You remember when the steam leads failed on Unit 3 on the high pressure turbine? That was another instance. I think one of the units was down on overhaul when that happened.
And, that happened the year before I started. I think that happened in 77.
Okay.
And, I wasn't there when that happened. I mean, I hadn't started working yet. But from what I understand, that was a unit trip is always loud, but when you have a steam lead blow off on the turbine deck, that is exceptionally loud.
Yeah, I can't imagine, being in there when that happened. But I was on days. I came in the next day on day shift, and it was just eerie, It's quiet, all 3 units down, quiet, and there's just this thick humidity around Unit 3, and it's just a mess. It was a total mess. I got some pictures of that I want to stick on the on YouTube and on the website soon. So,
okay,
just kind of dredge that memory up again. All right, so Fred, let's fast forward. Let's fast forward to 2019. It was November of 2019, right, when Unit 2 came offline?
Yes, it was. It was actually the 18th. Yes, I remember that day. We had been Unit 3 had come offline approximately a month earlier. It was actually a little more than a month earlier. I think it came off. I can't remember the exact date. It was either late September, early October. But Unit 3 had come off. And then the week before we took Unit 2 off, Unit 1 had come offline. So we were just left with Unit 2 burning the remaining coal. The coal pile, we stopped delivering coal way back in August of 2019. So the coal pile was continuously dwindling down and depleting until we got down to the last week. And that's when we took Unit 1 off because we were almost out of coal. Figured we had another week or so left to take Unit 2 down to shut it down. It actually the coal lasted a little bit longer than we thought it was going to because they kept cleaning out that coal pile and would find pockets of coal. So we had to get rid of that. We wanted all the coal to be burned as much as possible. So
right.
It was the 18th, the early morning of the 18th, November 18th. I got a call about 12:30 in the morning. It was Jeff Reese. Said, okay, we've closed the last coal silo ratchet gate, which means that no more coal was coming to the plant. We just were going to burn off what was in the silos. And that usually means you have roughly 10 to 12 hours left of coal. So he wanted me to come out. So I at the time, I thought he wanted me to come out to help him shut the unit down. Really, he had something else in mind. We'll get to that a little bit. But anyway, I wanted to be there. I had mentioned I want to be there when we come down. So he called me up. I got dressed, came out, got there, probably 1:30 or so. And, of course, we're still burning. There's, I think, 5 mills still online at that time. So we're still up and load quite a bit. And then later on that morning, we started losing one mill after another because we stage it to where we plan on losing a mill every 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. But really, that didn't happen until quite later in the morning. We burned coal longer than I thought we were going to. So we finally, the mills finally started dropping off maybe about 10 o'clock. And finally around noon, it was almost noon on the money, when the last mill dropped off. And of course, then we have, other than oil, and we're backing oil down too, but we have no more fuel going into the boiler except for the remaining ignition oil that we've got in. But we're backing that out too, because the whole goal is to take the unit offline. And about, it was roughly 12:09. I think that's the time they recorded that we actually opened up the generator breakers.
At 12:09?
12:09, yeah. So we're watching it, and we're watching the megawatts. The last mill's gone. backing the oil out. Megawatts are going from, roughly at that point, it was pretty low. It was roughly around 45, 50 megawatts, and they just start peeling off. And so they get down to, watching them just kind of dial away. And we get down to 15 megawatts and finally 10 megawatts. And right about 5 megawatts, I went ahead and Jeff had told me before I left this part of the story out. Well, when I got out there, he said, by the way, you're going to be the one taking this unit offline. And that's supposed to be an honor, right? And,
right.
And I said, okay, and I had some mixed feelings about that. I kind of thought I was out there to help them shut the unit down. I didn't know I was going to be the one opening the generator breakers. And he had told me that that's what I was going to do. So, I was already kind of feeling down that week anyway, because that was my last week out there. I was going to Thursday was our last day. I believe that was 21st, 22nd. But so I was feeling down about that, and then taking this unit offline. I thought, oh, okay. But it was an honor, so I accepted it. And so getting back to the megawatts dropping, they're peeling off 5 megawatts. He says, okay. So I walk up, and when we take the unit off, we open both generator breakers at the same time. And opening the generator breakers for the last time really had kind of an impact on me. I've taken units offline many times.
Sure.
And in various ways. But this was a final. This was the last time.
It's not coming back. Yeah.
It ain't coming back. Right. So, yeah, that kind of hit me. I remember that striking me was, this is the last time they will be operated taking the unit offline. So that did have an impact.
What was the atmosphere like in the control room overall? I mean, was it full of people? Were there just a couple of people in there? What was
there was an abnormally large amount of people. I mean, this is kind of a monumental moment. So, yes, there was quite a few people in the control room. There was a lot of storytelling going on. I mean, you might think it was a somber moment, but there was a lot of old stories being told, and some of them were pretty humorous stories. And I had heard them many times before, but they were still humorous. So, yeah, there's a lot of storytelling going on, a lot of reminiscing about the past and that sort of thing. And so overall, it was kind of I wouldn't say joyful, but the mood was the operation to bring the unit down was business as usual. But in the background, you got all these stories going on.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure to the control room operator sitting there, we may have been a little bit distracting to them at times, but they weathered through it. We kind of kept it down. But the mood was kind of like a get together, so to speak. I mean, we were there just seeing this thing through. And, and we did.
Yeah. I'd heard that you were the one who opened the generator breakers, and so I wanted to just kind of ask you that question and get a feel for what the atmosphere was like in the control room and what was going through your mind at that time. Because that is a huge event. That is a big event right there. I don't want to minimize that at all. That what are some of your thoughts post that day? After that day, what are some of your thoughts about the closing of the plant? And you mentioned before we started recording that that video that I took out there by the highway of the stacks coming down, that you were maybe 100 yards away from me or something like that. What was going through your mind? I mean, I know what was going through my mind, and I only spent 7 or 8 years out there. You spent your life out there, your career out there. You've got so much invested in that, so much of your life invested in that. And me, just the short time that I was there, things were going through my mind like memories. I mean, they were just flooding in. I was thinking about all the times out there that I spent doing different things, and day and night, and the work and the people, and then just to watch it come down and realize that, this is done. It's not coming back. What was going through your mind?
Somewhat the same, I mean, taking the unit offline, that impacted me. But I think watching those stacks fall, that impacted me as much, if not more, than the day we took the unit offline, the last unit offline. That was, that was another, I guess, exclamation point or whatever you want to call it, to the whole deal of shutting the plant down. That was a monumental time when those stacks came down.
Yeah. Yeah. That definitely was, and there was a lot of horn honking out there. And I wasn't in my car. I had the tripod set up right by that little fence, But a lot of people honking their horns and cheering, but I wasn't cheering.
No, nor was I. And the folks we were with, who were also ex-Power NGS employees, they weren't cheering either. We just watched it go down, and yeah.
Yeah, what can you do?
You were right when you said that kind of was a statement that it's not coming back. And of course, many other things had already been torn down before the stacks came down, but still, that was quite a statement.
Well, I'm hoping to be back up there when they take the boilers down. I hope that works out and that I can make it back up there and do another video of that. I'd like to get on the plant site, but I don't know if that's going to ever be possible. But just
from what I hear, they're pretty strict about that.
I'm sure. So, Fred, I really appreciate your time, and I appreciate you taking a chunk out of your day here and spending it with me. It's really good to see you again, and I hope we can stay in touch. I'd like to. I'd like to be able to do that and see you from time to time. And I really appreciate you spending time with me and talking about this whole experience. And you're the guy that opened the generator breakers the last time on Unit 2, and I really appreciate it.
Didn't want to be known for that.
That's right.
But it has been published, and the word is out.
Yeah, the word is definitely out. Fred, I'll let you go, buddy. You go recap the rest of your day, enjoy the rest of your day, and say hi to the fam, and appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you, Mike. Good seeing you.
You bet. You too, Fred.